Hey there, welcome everyone. Great to have you here with us. And I'm really excited about this video and this conversation today. I'm going to be speaking with a dear sister priestess friend and radical forgiveness master coach, Lori Appleby. And we're going to be talking about the Lion's Gate and this time that we are in right now that happens every year, but seems to be quite intense here in 2023. So before we dive into our conversation, where Lori is going to ask me some questions about astrology, the Lion's Gate, the heart center, and how that ties in with forgiveness, I do want to give you all a heads up that she and I are going to be offering a beautiful healing weekend online retreat at the end of August called Freedom Through Forgiveness. And we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video, but I just want to point out to you now that the link for more information is in the comments section or the information section below this video. And you can also go to returnofthepriestess.com/freedom, because as you will soon discover in our conversation, freedom comes when we are able to rise above our old resentments, our old angers, and come deeply into the heart, like the lion, like the Leo season. So with that, let's begin. Lori, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dawn. I'm really excited to collaborate with you and to talk to you more about, your journey and the expertise that you bring. So first of all, I'd love to hear more about what your astrology background is and what led you to want to even, study it and how this works for your life and to serve.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I began studying astrology many years ago. I mean, let's see, probably about 34 years ago, something like that. I learned all the basics, the fundamentals, and I was really into metaphysical studies back then. My son was young. I was a student of everything, just kind of, but particularly metaphysics and oracular things. So I was a tarot reader and then learned the basics. But it wasn't until I went through my first major dark night of the soul, which was let me think about this. I'm seeing the degrees in the chart, but this would have been in 2001, I think it was, that astrology was the light that led me out of the dark tunnel. And the kind of astrology I do is called evolutionary astrology. And it's the type of Western astrology that was brought forward by a man named Jeffrey Wolf Green numerous decades ago. And evolutionary astrology focuses a lot on the outer planets, the nodes of the moon, with the lens of what did your soul come here to learn and evolve into. So it's based on a concept of the soul having many incarnations and journeying through, taking a journey of evolution back toward the divine. And so that I used evolutionary astrology to deal with my own deep struggles, to begin to understand the karmic knots, the annoying patterns, the painful relationships that I wasn't able to resolve from counseling and from my own consciousness. And through that deep study, as any good astrologer will probably tell you, you first start studying yourself, often most of us, because we have a need. And that need was great for me at the time. And then I started studying the people in my life, my ex-husband. By that time, he was my ex-husband, my son, my parents. And that in time led me to start to do it for free for friends. And then eventually I started getting the feedback that the results they were getting were such that I should charge. And then, fast forward all these years later, and now it is one of the tools, one of my primary tools that I work with clients with is their astrological chart and their soul's intention and imprints for this life.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating when you start to dive into why am I here? What am I doing? We get to this point in our life where we want to have those deeper answers revealed. So I really resonate with you on that. And I did it in a bit of a different way, but now since we've been connected, I'm more interested in the astrology aspect of it. So saying that, tell us how astrology and A Course in Miracles, or sorry, you got led to A Course in Miracles and forgiveness, and then astrology kind of led you into all of that. So tell us a bit more of how that unfolded.
Yeah. So in 2017, I had another, this was not so much a dark night of the soul as a shock. And my astrological chart with the placement of Pluto in relation to the nodes, for any of you astrologers out there, I have Pluto square the nodes. Some of us with this quality, this configuration rather, go through periodic shocks. You could call it the spiritual 2x4 up the side of the head, where something comes into our awareness, not in a slow, gentle fashion, but a bam for us to deal with. So this was the biggest one of those in my life. And I did have astrology to look to say, oh, well, I can see these transits, this, that, and the other, but it wasn't sufficient to resolve this very painful shock. So what happened was a serendipity, divine. My prayers, I began taking, mala beads, like where you do the Om Mani Padme Hum. And I was doing mala beads. For some reason, I got deeply inspired to pray to Mary Magdalene, who I had not had a relationship with before that. And I was just saying, Mary Magdalene, be with me, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, be with me, Mary Magdalene, to crowd out the mind that was at war with this person, that was so upset by the shock. That's all I could think about. It was just so, that I couldn't stand to think about it. So I really feel like it was my prayers to her, and I did do the Om Mani Padme Hum as well. It was my prayers to her that led me to a serendipitous meeting with a woman, Tina Spalding, who many of you, if you know me, you know that she's a dear friend of mine. And she channels Jesus as the Jesus who channeled A Course in Miracles. And so all of the transmissions that come through her, and I feel Jesus here now when I refer to him in this way, all of the transmissions she brings through, and she's an incredibly high caliber channeler who had been a course student for many, many years, are teaching those principles. So I began A Course in Miracles. And that has given me the tools I needed to really deeply forgive this person, forgive myself, and just really transform my consciousness. I'm not the same person I was then. I mean, I am. If you meet me, you still see I have a certain kind of sense of humor and a certain phraseologies of things I say. But the amount of low frequency belief in separation, attack, fear, anxiety, all of that stuff is mostly gone. Now, I'm not saying I'm Christed in any way. I'm still doing my work, but I have cleared out so much garbage from the basement of my subconscious, thanks to A Course in Miracles. And what I have found is that when I work with clients, and especially course clients, that when we look astrologically at their soul's themes and we bring in the principles of forgiveness, what we have is an incredible formula for deep self-awareness and self-acceptance of our soul's unique, crazy-making patterns and gifts that help us take the journey through forgiveness to greater peace.
Wow. Yeah. So I love, like, you can just see how it's all tied. We start to see that when we see our chart and you get a reading from you, we can see the bigger reasons, and then we don't wrong ourselves when we get the proverbial 2x4 upside the head.
Yeah.
I know it's just that specific one, but we all have these wake up calls from the universe, like something that just jars us totally out of our regular life, and to wake us up. So we'll start to look at things differently and do it differently. And then it leads us to A Course in Miracles and to the forgiveness, so that we can clear, so that when we go through these challenging times, when ego shows up and, judgment shows up and fear. So we know what to do. We're like, okay, I got this, I have the tools, and I know that what's going on isn't just because I'm a bad person or I'm supposed to suffer. It's because it's trying to show us something. Like, that's what I hear when you're sharing all of this. So there's all this purpose, and it all weaves together, the three of them, so beautifully.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So in sharing all of that, now we're in the Leo season, we're in the Lion Gate season. So tell us a bit about astrology of Leo and the heart, and what is the energies that are presenting, and how can we work with them to the best of our abilities?
Yeah. Yeah. So every year we have this little window of time that kind of begins at the beginning, near the end of July, really let's just say the Leo season. So near 22, 23 July to 21, 22 August, we have the Leo season. And in that, there's the Lion's Gate, which peaks on the 8th of the 8th. And so that will be today for those who are watching this video on the 8th, when we'll mostly be sharing it. And so let's just a little overview of the sign of Leo. So Leo is the lion, obviously. And in astrology, Leo is ruled by the sun. And if we think about the sun is the center of our solar system. Without the sun, we would not actually have life here on Earth, or any of the solar system would not be. It would just, we wouldn't be. The sun is what holds us all together, spinning, and at least to the best of our knowledge. Now, so the sun brings the light, and that light shines. If we think the symbolic light, we can think about the symbolic light of the heart shining brightly to bring life. So when we think about the life eternal, so not our, Lori and Dawn and those of you watching, our physical bodies, that life comes from earth and sun and their relationship. But our life eternal comes from the light of God, if you will, the solar light of the divine. So now Leo, the sign of Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sign itself rules the heart. So every sign has a part of the body, the human body, that it rules. And so when we think of the heart, we think of love. And when we think of the heart chakra, not so much the boom, 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 boom heart, but the heart chakra, this is the center point chakra where we unite the lower and the upper realms, where we come into the unified field of the love that is beyond the romantic love or the love of a parent for a child, but the love that recognizes that we are all one. So when we come into the Lion's Gate window, which starts before the 8th and ends after the 8th, and different people have different theories about that, but we are aligned with Sirius, which is considered our spiritual sun, our spiritual star in the greater heavens. And so we are receiving the rays from that higher sunlight, that higher divine light. And so if we take that into our hearts and then beam it out, we have the capacity to leverage the Lion's Gate to bring more love to this world. Now, there's a lot of other things we could talk about, but I don't want to go too far into the astrology. That's not what we're here in this particular conversation for. But I want to address a couple. I'm going to weave in now a couple of cards that I pulled here for this call, which I was like, really, these are really hard cards. What the heck? Why am I getting these cards? So one of the cards I got is exhaustion, which is a fire sign. This is the Osho Zen deck. So I feel like at this time on the planet, look at the defensiveness here. This guy, he looks like Al Pacino to me. This guy, he's like boxed in with all of these defenses and machinery, and, and he's exhausted. And this is, I feel like, where we are as a planetary family right now. Mm-hmm. We're constantly looking at media, and I get it. If you're watching this, you're watching a YouTube video, but we are exhausted by the bombardment of information, the bombardment of attack and divisiveness, particularly in the Western world. and all the constructs that keep us defended. Now, symbolically, this also, that's sort of literally, but symbolically, these are the defenses of the heart when we do not know and understand the true nature of forgiveness. This is how we block ourselves. So whereas we dream the dream of true love, and then we see it only as this sort of romantic thing, the truth is that when we can liberate ourselves from the defenses of the heart, we go beyond this worldly dream of romantic love to an expanded Leonic love of love for life, love that is beyond our description, the peace that surpasseth understanding. So to me, the Lion's Gate is a beautiful time to, of course, offer love, pray for people, bring forth your love, and also to begin or to continue your journey of removing the obstructions to love's presence, which are the ideas in the mind that exhaust us, the judgments, the beliefs in attack and separation, the idea that the only way I'll be happy is if my knight comes to rescue me or my beautiful woman loves me. We are made by love, for love, as love, by our Creator. And as we line up with that Syrian energy coming through our soul, our Solaris sun, and into our hearts, we can literally leverage the Lion's Gate to break through like a fierce lion into the love that we are.
Wow, that's what amazing cards. And I definitely resonate because I was on that hamster wheel. I think I just wrote about that earlier today. It's like a hamster wheel of, just doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And people are exhausted. The goalposts keep changing, and there's another thing and another thing, and like it's not going to end. We have the power to choose differently. And the only way we can do that is through the heart, is through clearing out all those distortions. So those are perfect cards to get.
Well,
and
yeah, thank you for articulating that so beautifully. And I just want to share a funny story about these cards. So I pulled the dream card first, and I was like, really? How does that relate to? Because I was shuffling the cards going, what is the energy that would best support us bringing forward a most beautiful, supportive message for anyone who watches this video? And I got that. I'm like, what? That don't make no sense. So then I said, all right, tell me more. And I put the card in and facing opposite of the deck as I do. And then I pulled out the exhaustion card. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, no. And I know better than to do this. But anyway, I was just like, no, I want better cards. So I put them back in. I shuffled. And I asked again. And two cards jumped out, and they were the same two cards.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I started flowing in the conversation that they made sense.
Yeah. And that's the ego, right? I don't want these cards. These are good.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, no, these are the cards. Look deeper. Yeah. And really, when you think about it, it's exactly where we are. It's exactly how many people feel, especially, and I'm not saying this because I'm better or anything, but I know how it feels to be unforgiving, to be stuck in judgment. It's exhausting. And then it gets beyond exhausting, and then it becomes extremely depressing, and and then everything starts to fall apart around you. And when we can really look within and, okay, there's something here for me, there's something that's blocking me, that's putting up the armor, however you want to call it, and then bring the forgiveness in, and especially just letting ourselves off the hook that we need to know everything and get it all perfectly right, and be able to figure out everything that's going on around us, because we're not supposed to figure all of that out, in my opinion. Like that's just to keep our consciousness busy, and so we can't focus on what's truly important, which is really being in that loving space and being present with ourselves, and doing what feels purposeful and meaningful, whatever that is. Those kind of things. And obviously we still have to chop wood and carry water and all of that kind of stuff, but but there's a bigger purpose that I think so many of us are feeling that calling, you
Yeah.
know, and this is the perfect time to really step into it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up too, because it speaks into the need for also the self-love, the self-care, the self-acceptance, and the being present with your own self and being
Mm,
aware, allowing yourself. So a great thing to do on the Lion's Gate is instead of going into a lot of action, have more stillness and more presence and really tune into, what would feel good to me right now. And what's alive for me right now? What's firing me up, inspiring me? And also what's getting in the way of me feeling love, feeling the
yeah.
grace of the divine, and then lovingly accepting that, just
Mm.
witnessing it, like shining the light of the sun on it and going, oh, that's what's there. Okay, well, I can do something about that.
Right. And what's coming up for me when you say that is, sometimes when I've gone into that space, all the things come in and then I feel overwhelmed. So I want to add that, just pick that what's most important and start with that one thing, and you
Yeah.
don't have to do it all because we'll be led to the next thing to clear and the next thing. So really just focus on the one thing, and that's how you do it. It's not, we can't just, do that broad stroke of forgiveness or we need to just really focus on what's coming up the most for me right now. It doesn't, I
Yeah.
don't have to do with everything,
Right.
because there's a lot of things going
Yeah.
on, once you start to look at your patterns and look at it becomes quite, the more our awareness shows up, it becomes very evident. And then, I found for me, I would go into a spiral of, oh my God, this is too much and forget it and check out. So I just want to say that to anyone that might come up for, just pick that one thing and start there, and work on that and feel good about that. And that will clear some space. And then you can go to the next thing and you'll be led, we're guided.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
within and the heart. Yeah.
This is great guidance. And it's a great segue actually to unless there's something else you wanted to ask me, I thought we could just share a little about our
Yeah,
course. Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm super excited about this course for a number of reasons. First of all, because I know firsthand the power and the freedom that comes when we learn how to forgive. And I also know firsthand what it's like to work with Lori as a master radical forgiveness coach. So what we're going to be doing is at the end of August, we are having Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, an online healing retreat. And I'm going to be bringing in much more of my knowledge and insights and big picture overview, understandings and concepts from A Course in Miracles. And Lori will be guiding us through very hands-on, practical, radical forgiveness processes so that we literally get to the other side of this retreat much more free, much more peaceful, having done effective forgiveness work. Not the forgiveness that says, I know you've done me wrong and I'm going to keep that alive, but I'm the bigger woman, so I'm going to forgive you. It's really, if that's the notion of forgiveness that you're still holding, I can promise you that this is something much deeper, much more healing, much more profound. And you're going to get both, we could say theory and praxis and actual results through this journey. So that's one of the things I wanted to say about our weekend. Another thing I wanted to say is that we have created, first of all the calls are recorded. So if the timing doesn't work for you, that's not a problem. And many of us who've taken online courses know that now. Sometimes we take the course without the group because we have to do it in our own time. So of course you have full access. And then also we've created a pricing structure that allows for literally anyone to take this. So we have the asking price, which is 101 USD, 111 USD, but we also have the option to pay more if you want to support someone who can't afford it, and to pay less if you are on a fixed income or if you're really in need and you can only pay some amount that works for you. So all of those are options. And the way that you find out about all the details, the pricing, what you get out of it, all of that stuff, the timing, is you go to returnofthepriestess.com /freedom. And I'm so excited about this retreat because I know Lori and I have been developing this now for a while. And I know that our shared love for supporting people in liberating themselves from the suffering of unforgiveness is a powerful mix. So Lori, is there anything you want to say, want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to add that, the work that the work that we're going to be sharing, this is really going to give the participant a different way to perceive everything. And it also gives you a different way to perceive, and then so you can choose and be able to, when we can look at things from different perspectives and not have to fully buy into it and just be open to it, it really opens the door for shifts to happen. Because when we try to force ourselves, and okay, this is the way it has to be, and this is how it is, but then we have a part of us, their ego is like, no, 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 no. You resist and then you shut down. So I just want to say that this work that we're sharing is very forgiving, and no pun intended, but it really is, because it really gives you just a different way to look at things. And because it's all stories that we're telling ourselves anyway, we make up stories of why this happened, and so you're just really looking at things from a different story. You're creating a different story, but one that's more based in truth, more based in love, and allows you to be free from the judgments, the fear, the guilt, the shame, and all these things. Because it really truly is, I believe, forgiveness is the practice. It's not a one and done, but you're going to be taught many of the tools and the understandings and the bigger picture as well that Dawn's going to share, but actually have practical tools that you can practice with. So when something shows up in your life, you can take these practices and use them and apply them. And you will really, truly start to notice how things start to lighten up and shift and change, and your energy is going to change, and then people around you will be affected as well in whatever way is meant to be. So I just want to say these are like tools for life. I really feel that this work is tools for life.
Beautifully said. Yes. So if you actually know that you have an unforgiveness, which some of the people who have already registered, they've told me that they have a very specific thing they're bringing to the table. Certainly this retreat is for you. This healing retreat is for you. And if you just find that the times you're in are causing you to feel exhausted, anxious, weary, like you just want to go back home to the stars, this healing retreat is for you. If you have had heartbreak, disappointment in your life, if you're feeling somehow lost or really struggling with, it could be a job, it could be money worries, it could be just the nature of your experience of life right now, this healing workshop is for you. Because when you change your frequency, you are no longer a vibrational match to the things that aren't serving you, to the things that are causing you angst or fear or stress. So this really is a powerful way. That's why we called it freedom through forgiveness. It's a powerful way for you to gain a level of freedom that you may not have known before, a level of command of the way you want to live your life, a level of liberation that aligns you more with the heart and with the light of the divine that is within you. So again, if you would like to join us or just check it out, just take a minute just to check it out, go to returnofthepriestess.com/freedom, and you can check that link below in the description box. And Lori, I want to thank you so much for joining me for this today. And I want to thank all of you who have joined us for this recording. And I hope, and I'm sure, Lori, you hope to see anyone who feels ready to take the next uptick in your energy, in your life, to see you and to journey with you through freedom through forgiveness with us at the end of August.
Thank you, Dawn. It was great.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.